If you are serious about getting an agent or a manager, you have to have really good acting footage on yourself. Today, we have an amazing agent here to talk about it.
Acting Class Weekly with legendary character actor Sean Whalen. Lessons, tips, and insight into the craft and business of acting from a man who's been directed by the likes of Spielberg, Eastwood, Tim Burton, Ang Lee, Michael Bay, Wes Craven, Tom Hanks, and many more of Hollywood's A-list. He is 30 years an actor and your professor, Sean Whalen.
All right, right off the bat, Roxy, do you miss the blue coat? Do you miss the sharpness of the French blue coat?
I'm not going to lie to you. I thought you would double down, do it today again.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
I thought about that, but then there's overkill. It's not like a fun surprise.
Well,
I don't know.
Or is it cool?
Is it cool? Well, is it cool if that's my thing from now on? Is that what you were saying? Did you feel like last week was the intro of the blue coat and that's where we go from here?
All I'm saying is the blue coat is now #1. So really, what are you going to do that's going to live up to that?
So you always feel like it's anything I wear is just not the blue coat.
Kind of.
Anything. Okay.
Yeah, well,
all right. Well, I
we'll
took
see.
an artistic risk and thought, I'm kind of going for like the firecracker thing. It happens once in a while. It's gonna surprise you. It's gonna make the viewers excited when I wear it.
Yeah, but when we have a guest this good, you got to bring out your blue coat.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's amazing. So today we are going to be talking about when you get an agent. We've talked about getting your headshot. Remember that, Rox? So now when you're submitting yourself, you also want to have acting footage on yourself so they can evaluate. It's a lot better than just a headshot. A lot of times you can't really get the aspect of the person unless you actually see them doing their craft. So with me today, as always, is Miss Phenomenal, Roxy Striar.
Oh, thank you so much, Sean.
Mr. Funtabulous is in the ocean somewhere, but we got our man Ryan in the booth helping us out today. Ryan? And today...
Ryan, silent but deadly type.
Silent but deadly.
Yeah.
I am here.
You're here. That's
a
all
little
right.
subtle.
I'm sorry I didn't even tell you I was going to call you up, but it's okay.
Ryan's panicked.
Ryan
He said my
panicked.
name.
What's happening?
What do I do?
And my agent, Lauren Gibson from Metropolitan Talent Agency, her partner Tom Markley is also my agent. And she is here with us to help us kind of decipher how to move forward when we're submitting our acting footage. What are the things we're going to do some do's and don'ts. We're going to tell you kind of the basic parameters. We're going to walk all the way through it. But before we do that, we are going to talk about my week. And so you're going to go low as always. I'm going to go high.
At this point, I have nailed it, Sean.
Okay, so we're off of France. We're
Lauren,
off
are you
the
ready
French
for this?
accent.
Are
Ready?
are you ready to be wowed?
You ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Sean's Week. Was it so good?
That's
That
how.
was pretty great.
Like,
Wow.
Are you
Wow.
signing our duo
Yeah.
group, or
Yeah.
is this
Yeah,
not?
we-
a-
when
we
do
can talk
do
off
we have
the
a
air.
Yeah,
We can talk.
we can talk. Well,
There's more where that came from. Believe me.
Roxy, here's the truth. It's such big money. It's such big numbers. She's got so much trajectory for us that it might make the listeners feel a little jealous.
Uncomfortable.
Very
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
I get
because,
that.
because
now I see.
If you've seen Rocket Man, those couple nights at the Troubadour, that was it. And he was off. He was the biggest sensation. This was our Troubadour.
I think
that was it.
Yeah, we're ready for
That
it.
was it.
I love it.
So I am going to not go through the entire Sean's week. I'm just going to focus on one very seminal event of my week, my first acting coaching with Miss Phenomenal, Roxy Striar.
Couldn't believe it. And this was the highlight of my week, the
Okay.
absolute best moment of my week. I'm just so happy, Sean.
So tell me what you took away from it. How was it?
So I haven't been in acting class. Remember, I've been taking acting class since I was 2 years old.
Right.
Since I was the bowl of mush in Goodnight Moon.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
it was a really big shining moment for me.
Right.
And I went to USC for it also. And then at some point when working, whatever, I was doing improv more. I just hadn't been coaching and training.
Yeah.
So I'm a little rustier than I would like to be. And
Do you feel that way?
well, I think that the rust fades very quickly, but
Yes,
I meant more like when Sean sent me these sides and looking at them, figuring out my point of view. I want to be doing that all the time,
Yeah.
every single moment that I can be. And I was nervous, and I wasn't expecting that. So I guess
That's
that's what
funny.
I'm talking about, like those nerves going in.
Right. Where you're like, I haven't done this in a while.
For somebody that I know, anytime I go into an audition,
You've always said that it's harder for people you know.
100%. When I go into an audition with a new casting director or somebody I don't know, I feel so at ease.
It's like a first date or something with Sean?
Yeah.
Kind of. That's what it felt like. It was like, what's he going to think?
We've talked about this for a while.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So there was some build up to it.
Okay.
And so it coming in. But here's the thing, and I will tell you very honestly, your instincts were great. Your first read was great. We just wanted to go deeper. We wanted to play with it. We wanted to find different things. But your first instincts were really good.
Thank you.
I mean, I told you it was basically a scene where there's a very heavy second scene, but in the first scene we just need to get to know her really quick and like her. And it was only a few lines, and those are some of the hardest ones, as you know. Like the 3 lines, it's like, we just need to love you in 3 lines.
But this is why it's so important and to remember that it's too hard to do it by yourself. You threw things at me that I was like, wow, that makes sense. I forget. Oh, I'm going somewhere after this. Oh, I'm coming from somewhere.
Right.
Oh, what is it exactly that my relationship with them was previously? How do we interact all of the time? Is this different from that? Is this whatever it is?
Right.
Just any new layer you added for me.
Yeah.
That was really helpful, and I think that that's the point of it all.
I am going to do an episode on coaching. My life changed when I got my coach. He took my Groundlings training. He took my Playhouse West training. He had training from Uta Hagen and Stella Adler in New York. And what you do is you craft your work with that actor based on them. So I think coaching is invaluable, and especially to have someone with experience who can look at things differently. I was just saying, Lauren, when I get sides, like the other day, I get like the grumpy white supremacist guy sitting, that tape, and I look at that and I go, all right. And I don't have to do the big backstory or anything like that, because I've just done it enough to know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know this guy.
Yeah.
I know what they're looking for. I know how I need to be off of there was a lead young guy that was sweeter and more curious. I'm the old crank. That's who I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to give that perspective. And I just know it at this point. But it took me a long time, and my coach hammered me for 5 years to get me to the place where I could actually do that.
That's awesome.
And then you catch up, then, life catches up. My acting teacher, and I've mentioned this before, Bob Carnegie of Playhouse West and of Jeff Goldblum's Playhouse West with Bob Carnegie, and he said, it takes 20 years to become a good actor, 20 years of technique and 20 years of life. And I remember us in the acting class going, how dare you, I'm awesome right now, and then I turned 40 and I go, yeah. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I kind of get it.
It's kind of like when my dad told me you can't be the best driver when you're 16, and I said, what do you mean? The best driver in the world could be 16 years old.
And then you're like,
not likely.
Probably not.
Not likely.
Yeah, probably
haven't
not.
done it enough.
So we're going to break this down. We have a lot to get to, but I'm glad you liked it. I look forward to our next session.
Me too.
It's going to be fun because we did the nice scene, and now we go to the deep, dark, heavy, meaty, heartbreaking scene. So that's going to be our next thing, and then we're going to put it on tape. It's going to be awesome. But before we do that, we're very lucky to be here at AfterBuzz, and Roxy's going to talk about it right now.
Yeah, so if you guys love this show, Acting Class Weekly with Sean Whalen, we also have a ton of other shows. Ooh, it's a little bit of an original
I feel like
song.
it's like Austin Powers almost. You know
Austin
what I mean?
Powers.
Well, the kind of peppy. It's mellow Austin. No, mellow Austin Powers.
Yeah, is that what you're hearing right
Mellow
now?
Austin Powers.
Just because we've had an Austin Powers guest on this show
That's
before,
true.
Sean, doesn't
That's
mean
true.
every song
Mindy Sterling
is
was on the
Austin
show.
Powers.
Yeah, that was my guess, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well,
she
I think
got
you know
it.
my connection to it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So if you guys are loving this show, you're going to love our other shows. We do after shows for all your favorite TV shows. So whether that was catching up on Game of Thrones to anything like Chernobyl, the hottest stuff that is on, we've got it for you. So make sure you check that out and rate, comment, subscribe. Why does that matter? Because it actually boosts us up in the rankings. So if you're rating, you're commenting, and subscribing, more people are going to find this program, which means that we're going to stay right here. We also bring you all this content for free, so we love to bring you exactly what you want, which is why you leave a comment, because we read all of them. I actually started going back this week, Sean, on iTunes.
Wow.
Oh my God, so flattering what they were saying about us there. I will bring in some of those for next week, and I will read those out loud on air. So make sure you leave a comment now so that I can tell all the people all the nice things you guys had to say about us. We really appreciate it. We love you guys, and thanks for listening.
All right. So before we get into it, as I said, Lauren's my agent. And I always like to, when I have a guest, just quickly, briefly, how we met,
Sure.
how we came to be working together.
We met through your manager, Gary.
Gary,
yeah. Who we've worked with him for a few years, share a few clients with him.
Right.
And, that's sort of what happens with agents and managers. You have relationships with them and you trust their instincts, and he has really good taste in actors. So.
Yeah.
He introduced us, and for you, it was one of those, this guy.
Yeah.
And I said, absolutely, yeah. I know this man. Yeah. He's one of the great character actors of our generation.
Very true.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've seen you in a million things.
Yeah.
Everybody has.
Right.
So is that how it typically would work then? You guys, it's only through agent or manager referrals, or are you guys scouting, or how does that happen? For
the most part, but my new favorite way to find people is in plays. Because you spend a lot of time with people. You watch their character arc for over an hour. And,
right.
But yeah, typically it's through other managers.
And sometimes, I got Gary through another actress friend. So if an actor friend, one of your acting clients said, "Hey, do you know this guy?" Oh, absolutely. Like that's another way. And we're going to do a whole episode on how to get a manager and an agent. But referrals is always a good thing.
Yeah, it's probably, I would say, like 90% through referrals.
Right.
Yeah, and showcases that you'll go to see actors in showcases too.
Right. So another way is people will send you cold stuff. And you were telling me the other day you'll get like 15 to 20 every day.
Yeah.
And
a lot.
So I didn't ask you this, but like you say you learn really quickly, and we'll talk about how quickly when you start to watch it. But if you see the headshot and the headshot isn't what you need, you don't watch the footage, I would bet, right? Or is that do you always watch the footage no matter what the headshot is?
I always watch it when it comes through a referral.
Okay.
But cold submissions, I would say 50% of the time.
Okay.
Sean, when you say something you need, do you mean something they don't already have
right.
on there?
So explain what that means, like a roster.
So, we have a roster of a little over 100 people, and for our taste, we like to kind of make sure we have like an eclectic mix of people. We don't like to have too many of the same type. Other agents and other managers are different. Some of them have
we'll
a
have
lot
like
of
10
this.
of each.
Yeah, everybody's different. But for us, we like to try to kind of keep it separate. It's better for your relationships with casting sometimes, because you don't want to be submitting 18 people for the same role. And,
right.
But sometimes I'll open an email and be like, "Oh my God, I don't have anyone like that."
Anything like that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's always good.
Yeah.
Like if she had like 4 other guys that were super hot, that wear bright blue coats.
She might not have taken you on, you think?
I would have said,
no, I'm saying she'd reject those guys. That's what I was trying to say.
I was still setting you up for the...
Oh, okay.
We were both calling
we
you
were both,
the attractive man in the blue coat. Don't worry.
Exactly.
You got this, Sean.
But so then if you see a headshot you like, or it interests you, then you'll proceed to the footage. Okay.
Yeah.
So number one, as we talk about this, getting a good tape, the first thing I'm going to say, and we talked about this, and guys, if you listen to this podcast consistently, I say this all the time, know yourself. Know yourself, know your type, know what you're selling, know your cereal box, like I talked about last week, or know your bridal gown, as you put it. Know what you're selling. Know know the type that you're selling. So the footage that you do should reflect that. I've mentioned it a couple times, but I got in because I loved comedy. I went to the Groundlings, and it was in the Sunday show. That's how I got my first agents and managers. Was they came to the Sunday show, saw me in the sketches. And comedy was my wheelhouse. It was something I enjoy. So that's what I kind of pushed.
Yeah.
So if you're a dramatic person, we talked about actually 3 categories the other day, which is maybe you're a dramatic person, maybe you're a comedy person, or maybe you're a character person. So that person might have a little more, maybe a comedy, a drama, and then kind of maybe a middle average Joe tape, but all very short. But just know what you're selling. If you don't know that you want to go for drama first or comedy first, then that's going to make it harder for the agent to see if you aren't sure about yourself. They need to know what you're selling. Like I said, the cereal box, you're not going to present something that you're not really sure what you're selling. Jim Carrey couldn't have done Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind unless he did Ace Ventura and Living Color first. So that's kind of where we want to go. And people who are doing a lot of drama, Ben Stiller, you have to know how you get in.
Lauren, do you agree with that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the way it happened. So I can't really dispute that. But I mean, my number one thing is don't try to be everything all at once.
Right.
You have to really focus on what your strengths are.
Yeah, lean into what your strengths are.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is try to gather scenes of work, gather scene work of projects that you've already done. And we talked about this and how to get started. Go to a film school, go to your local colleges if you don't have any, okay? So we just said gather the stuff you have. Let's assume you have some, you pick your wheelhouse, you trim it down to 2 or 3 minutes. But if you don't have any, go to your local colleges, your film schools, reach out to them, say you're interested in acting, take your headshot over there, try to meet as many people, and start submitting yourself for them. And why is that? Because film schools usually have better sound, better lighting. It's going to look better. It's going to look more professional. Better cameras, all of it.
And they're looking for actors.
And they're always looking for actors, so it's completely synergistic. So that's the one day to do it. And another way to do it is if you find a good part in a play or a favorite part in a movie, not something iconic, we'll talk about that later, but a scene that you'd like to do, go gather some friends. Go get some friends together and say, let's shoot something. Let's shoot footage. So the 2 leads, maybe it's a girl and a guy. Let's get together, do this so you can have really good tape and I can have really good tape. Now, you go to your acting class, and we've talked about this on other episodes too, guys, the networking from your acting class. Why? Because you start to gather this posse of people. You get together with them, you work with them, and you start to pick a project, and then all of a sudden you're getting footage on yourself. How do you find that these, have you gotten a lot of short films from students that they've done, submitted to festivals and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people get involved, and web series is another one too.
Okay,
that's another
web series.
Yeah, people who are making footage for the internet, people who are making stuff for their YouTube pages.
Okay, yeah.
And these are things that you can get involved in through the internet. I mean, you can use the internet as a resource, whether it's Craigslist or Actors Access.
If you don't have that group, right?
Yeah.
So what's that suggestion? You're saying go to Craigslist,
see who's making a web series. Somebody might be casting something, looking for, they may not have a budget to pay actors. So in a way, the payment is footage for you.
A lot of times they'll say that on those ads. They'll say meals and footage. That's how they pay you.
What about quality-wise? Do you care if you're looking, if it's a great performance, but you're looking at something that somebody did get off Craigslist, they didn't have a lot of money, maybe it was like a 2-man crew or something, and it doesn't look necessarily as good. Does that affect anything for you?
Again, if you're first starting out, you can get by if the performance is really good. The only thing that really takes away for me, and I feel bad doing this sometimes, but sometimes someone will submit footage and they're great, but the person opposite them is horrible.
Oh, really?
So that you need to make sure that the performances are balanced too.
So will that for the person submitting and they're with someone, so you're saying the whole thing has to be pretty decent, or it makes it really hard to invest yourself?
It has to be balanced. It has to be balanced. But I will say, if someone submitted it to me, I could see like, oh wow, you're very talented. I can't use this to sell you because everybody else in this is really bad. Not so great.
Yeah.
But but in order to get a rep and just show that you know how to act, for sure, that's definitely useful.
But it's always better if your ducks are in a row.
For sure, yeah. And, it's obviously better if the footage looks professional. I mean, at the end of the day, that's always going to stand out.
So, listen, you're on the internet, you're in your theater class, you guys have done a scene, you love it, you decide to film that. But if you don't have it, Lauren said something really amazing the other day. She said, write your own stuff.
Yeah.
So tell them about, you were saying you even just went to a showcase recently and there was something.
Yeah, well, we go to showcases often.
Because you're invited by the teacher or
whoever's running it, different acting schools, and you go and you just watch people do their scenes. And we see the same scenes all the time, over and over again. People use a lot of the same audition scenes. And I was telling you the other day, it's always, I don't know why, but everybody always does that Seth Rogen scene from Knocked Up where she's telling him that she's pregnant. And I'm like, I've seen this a million times.
That's such a weird one.
I know.
I find it such a weird one,
Guys
right?
love to do it. Like, you're pregnant with emotion? But I don't know. It's their thing. But
that's so funny.
strange,
Isn't that funny? Like, I would never think that.
Yeah. So just try not to do that. I mean, for me personally, sometimes it's fun for me to guess where it's from, but that's taking away. Like, I'm not paying attention to your performance. I'm trying to guess where this is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other thing too, we talked about.
Well, you were saying there was a guy who did something that was very interesting to you, right?
Yeah, this guy did this really weird character piece, and it's about like a masseuse who's like trying to be friends with the guy who was massaging. It was just really bizarre, but it was so good. And we were like, what is that from? And he's like, oh, I wrote it. I made it up. And it really showcased like the sort of character work that he's good at. And if you can't find something that showcases what you feel is playing to your strengths, just make it up.
Yeah.
And then do you also like having somebody on your roster who is capable of, now he's multifaceted, so now you're getting an actor and also somebody who can write and...
Yeah, I mean that's part of the reason why we actually rep a lot of groundlings, and they're very talented, and they're also really good at if they get an audition last minute, because they improv all the time, and they're like, yeah, I got this, I'll be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, and a lot of them are really skilled at writing and creating
to get into the Sunday show, you have to. I mean, that's why I think I got my agents, because I really knew the kind of stuff that would make me stand out. When I would write something normal, like it's the girlfriend that's too noisy in the restaurant and I'm the quirky boyfriend, I'd write it and I'd go, nope, it's too average. I don't want to, that's not what I want to express. And so it's really, really good to get together. The same idea. You're going to get together with the friends, with someone who's got a camera, go to Craigslist, see if someone wants to direct. But then you guys have written your strengths. So it's always good to write your own stuff if you need to. So don't ever be afraid of that either. And, that's only one of the two ways you can do it. Now, this was news to me because in my day, this didn't really exist. But Lauren said something that was very profound, that there's a thing called self-taping. And it's a close-up of you basically doing a scene from either a movie or, again, something you might have written. And this is the way some people have to get auditions remotely when they're not at home. Let's say when I was in Paris and there was something for Tim Burton's new movie, Gary and Lauren would have gotten in touch and said, grab an iPhone, grab a blank wall and try to get yourself on tape for this. So now if you can't even get you're in a place or a position where you can't get a short film together, you can do what's called a self-tape. And it's basically you doing the scene. The person that you're reading with is not on screen. They're behind the camera. And you are taping yourself doing the scene. And if it's done with, basic black wall, you can hear it, you can see it, and you're showing some good acting, Lauren was saying that now you'll consider someone for representation with something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And why is that? Do you feel like when you see that you think, oh, they should have gotten a short, or why aren't they working it? I mean, what makes it okay? I guess that's the thing that was so surprising to me.
Well, I mean, it's better than having nothing at all. First of all,
okay,
we need to see that you can act.
Okay,
you know.
So guys, listen to that. She's saying, do not submit yourself to an agency with just a headshot.
Yeah.
Try to get. Do not do this unless you have some.
Unless you're a
footage.
baby, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, and the reality of it is, essentially, that's what casting is using to cast people now anyway. When you go into a casting office, you stand in front of a blank wall, they put you on tape, and that's what they show to the producers. And so, it's
in the wheelhouse of what's happening.
But for for a case of trying to get an agent, if it's just really good tape of you, like a minute or so, doing the kind of material that you should be doing, if you're, like you said earlier, if you're a dramatic actor, don't come and do something from Big Bang Theory that makes no sense.
That doesn't fit.
You're talking about sides in your hand, hearing the reader, also the whole
off
9
screen,
yards.
Don't have the sides in your hands, but you should.
So if you were doing, so that's a good piece of advice.
Yeah, you have
off
to
book
absolutely.
if you're doing that for getting an agent. You're saying
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Now, see, when I coach auditions, sometimes if it's an audition, some people will have the sides in their hands,
Yeah,
but not for getting representation.
And I mean, at the end of the day, you should really try to be off book.
Okay.
No matter what.
Even for auditions.
This is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Even if you are off book, a lot of casting directors that I've talked to, and Sean, I think you're of this mindset, they want you to see the sides in your hands anyway because it makes them feel safer, even if you are 100% off book.
Yeah.
But
that's
fine.
Again, that's different than what you're saying. You're saying
don't read
since
off
you're
a page.
not doing a short film, which obviously you'd be off book, for submitting to an agent, be off book.
Yeah, I mean, if you're putting yourself on tape for casting, a lot of the times you have less than 24 hours notice.
Yeah, and they understand.
That's okay.
Got it.
But if this is just a scene that you're showing your acting material, I would definitely be off book.
That's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
So those are the two ways, guys. The two ways are to either gather your friends and get a short footage from either colleges nearby, film schools. You can either write your own material, you can just do it yourself, or you can do a self-tape. So those are the two ways, and we're going to give you the basic do's and don'ts for all of this. Number one, these are things you should do. Listen, I've said this a million times, and I mentioned the quote that I love, love, love. Mm-hmm. Steve Martin was doing a class. All the students were raising their hands. When do I get an agent? How do I get a headshot? And he said, guys, shouldn't you worry about being good first? Please be studied. Please know what you're doing. Be good at your craft. Do not submit acting work on film that is going to be passed around by lots of people unless you know your craft well enough to do so. So this is not the first thing you do, as I've said a million times. Get into class, get studied, feel good about what you're doing, and then you'll know. You'll go, you know what, I want to throw something on tape. And you might look at it and go, oh, I'm not great. I had a student I worked with who just came out here about a year ago. She has worked with me. We taped a bunch of stuff that we wanted to submit to agents. She went and studied at Playhouse West. She took our comedy program, and she said to me, you know what, we got to redo those. Because I know I'm better now. I know I'm better. We were never doing those to submit to agents, just for her to see kind of her progress.
Sure.
But that's the truth. She didn't want me to send those. She knew she could do better.
Right.
So do not submit yourself unless you are ready, acting wise, and know you're good at your craft. Because that confidence, can you tell when there's a lack of confidence?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Of course. And one thing I always say, too, is you need to have someone in your life, whether it's an acting coach or a friend or whatever, who will be honest with you and can help you break, because sometimes you can't see it in yourself,
Right.
you know, and that's what coaching is for.
Right.
So definitely have someone who can say that's not your best work. You
Right.
know, we got to redo
And
that.
it probably shouldn't be the agent you're submitting to that it's not yours.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because then it's too late.
Right.
Then it's too late. And you guys all heard my daughter's story. I think I told that story on the air, how she was so rough with me.
Yeah.
On the, remember I got pinned for Deuce.
Dad.
I got pinned for Deuce because it was my daughter. They said, be real, be natural. And she kept on going, I hate that. What are you doing, Dad? This is ridiculous. She was so rough with me. And she said, are you mad at me? And I said, I love you. Are you kidding? You're amazing.
Yeah, it's necessary.
Yeah,
it's very
you
necessary.
definitely need that. So that's good too. That's another piece of advice. Have someone who is familiar with you as a person, but then acting as an art or a craft that can give you some honest feedback.
Yeah, there are too many people who are like, "Oh my God, that was amazing."
Yeah.
It's like that's not helpful.
No,
Unless it was.
there's some acting teachers that people sign up for them because that's all they do is tell them how great you are, and that will get you nowhere.
Yeah,
I'm
you'll
not
never
one.
learn.
I am not one of those people. And Roxy will tell you I am not one of those people.
No, thank goodness though.
Yeah. Also, just on basics, guys.
Yeah.
You got to be able to see it and to be able to hear it. Just the basics. If you're doing a self-tape, you need to have decent lighting to hear good sound. We'll do a whole episode breaking down self-tape, the minutia of it. But in general, obviously, you have to be seen. You have to be heard. On your short films, they can't be so... But, what if the 90% of the short film was so great? What a great experience. But they had no money for good post-production, and it's dark and you can't see it. That's just life. You can't submit that. You can't submit it. You have to be able, they need to be able to see it. And guys, it needs to be able to be seen on a desktop computer, correct? I mean, are you ever watching these on your phone?
Occasionally, yeah.
Occasionally. Okay. So it has to be that much of that
Even more,
quality.
yeah.
Even better. Then this is another do that Lauren said. So she was saying, don't throw everything at the agent. I can do anything and everything, and I give 20 minutes of all these different things. But she did say something about a link to a website that organizes it. Can you explain what you meant by that?
Yeah, sure. So, in an intro email where you're talking about yourself, you can definitely, I would definitely put your best work forward.
Okay.
But then you could say, to see more or, to see more of my drama, here's the link to my website. And then just make sure that your website is really organized.
Nice and clean.
Yeah.
And then you have different names of, the
Yeah.
clips, the names of what it was, student film, award winner.
Or you could also organize it by character type. Here's me playing the mean teacher. Here's me playing like the, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So, and that kind of adds to the know yourself and know what roles you should be playing.
Okay.
And then have the evidence.
And it's not overwhelming to you, right? Because it's your choice to go explore more or not.
Yeah, a lot of the times when I see people at showcases or if I see a headshot that's really interesting to me, I want to explore a little bit more. I want to poke around, and if I see that your stuff is really outdated or if it's messy, that's a reflection of you as a
business person.
Because at the end of the day, it is a business. So
If somebody's submitting to you whatever, I'm calling this a reel, but whatever we want to call the footage that they have, how many clips do you think is a good amount to be in there then?
in a submission,
Yes.
I would say either one reel. And if you don't have a reel, like we talked about, if you just have the self-tapes, then 3 tops.
I'm saying in that reel, how many different...
Oh, in a reel? It's usually anywhere between like 3 to 5 different
I was
scenes.
going to say 3 to 5
but
too.
I hear 4 all the time, so that's right in the middle.
Yeah, there you go.
But any as long as it's under 3 minutes or 3 minutes tops.
Yeah. When you get signed and you're selling yourself, they can go up to 5. But for submissions, you want to keep it less.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you can, and this was a question that we had for our child expert. She said, don't submit a scene of you with just 2 lines. Lauren had a little asterisk to that and said, but if it's with like a huge star, with Bryan Cranston or Tom Hanks, you might want to be able to put it in there. Why would that be okay?
Because it shows that you can work with big names, that you've been on a significant set.
Right.
And I don't know, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's like, look, here's me with Meryl Streep. Like, I don't care if you're saying one word. If you have a scene with Meryl Streep, put that on your reel.
Yeah.
Totally.
There you go. All right, so those are and the last do is the most important. Respect that the agents and managers are busy. Mm-hmm. So Lauren was saying she will know in about 30 seconds, maybe 45 tops, if you know you're, are good at your work, solid, and that's the part that you need to take care of. But the part that you can't take care of, are they interested in you? Are they something that that they don't have on their roster? That's the part you can't take care of.
Right.
But they'll know very quickly. So make sure that you said it a million times on our phone call the other day. Best foot forward.
Yeah.
Don't do a scene where it's not the best and go, ooh, I'm going to save the best stuff for last. That is not the way this works.
No.
So, yeah.
She's so exhausted from that. No.
Well, no. Sometimes people will be like, we'll fast forward to minute 3 to see this or that. It's like, no, if that's what you want me to see, just show me.
Put it first.
Put it first.
Yeah,
absolutely.
put it first. So remember, they're very busy, and she already said 15 to 20 of these a day. So what are you going to do to make sure that your best stuff is in your first 30 seconds, that you're not, it's not a slow burn, there is no time for the slow burn. That's for a different time, different day, different project, different goals. But for here, you want to be nice and solid right out of the gate.
Question in your dues. Or do you prefer if people send you a separate comedic and dramatic one when you get these, so you don't have to have it all intermingled in one reel?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what kind of footage you have. So if you're, if you only have a tiny bit of comedy and more drama, just put it all together in one reel, I would say. Don't, try to stretch it out and make it so that you have a big, long comedy reel. If you only have 30 seconds of a really good comedy scene, and then you just throw in a bunch of other comedy stuff just for the sake of doing it, do you know what I mean?
Right.
You want to it depends on what material you have. So if it's all really solid, for sure, do a comedy and a drama.
Right.
But for the most part, one reel will do it. It also depends on what kind of actor you are. If you're more focused on comedy.
Right, then you would have
just
lean
do
and
your
like we were
comedy
saying.
reel.
And when we said on my reel, I have a very wacky comedy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, drama from Magnum PI, and then I have kind of like a straight guy from Criminal Minds.
Yeah.
That's very straight. That just shows so it's just showing my range as a character actor.
Yes.
So it,
Interesting.
That's the way if you want to spread it out, the little rainbow of characters.
Yeah, and we had talked about too, if you are a particularly comedic actor, if that's what you want to focus on, but you do have some drama, and drama is something that you are thinking about doing as well. If you get a meeting, you can talk about that with the agent. Like if you don't necessarily have the drama footage,
but you'd like to do more.
Yeah, I mean that's something that you can talk to your agent or your manager
you can say,
about.
hey, and I'm in this dramatic play. You should come see me if I have the comedic footage. And yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the don'ts. Right. So do not take, even if you were really good in this play or really funny in this particular improv show, do not send theater or improv show footage to an agent. Why is that, Lauren?
I don't know. It just doesn't really translate. It doesn't.
The loudness of the audience too.
Yeah,
right?
it just doesn't. It doesn't really do the job.
I would think you could restage that to put it on film in a better lighting or more like a scene.
Yeah, or like a self tape kind of thing.
If you loved it.
Yeah, you could adjust it, but obviously the improv, obviously not. But you don't want to see that anyway. It's gonna be very hard to book you as a client if they just are strong in improv, right?
Yeah, we just don't.
Yeah.
We don't. That's not the kind of footage that we use.
Right. Okay. Do not submit commercials. I know this is professional. You look good, all of it. But when I was starting, I had 20 commercials, and I was trying to get a theatrical agent. None of it was allowed to be, presented because it's kind of a bit. It's
Yeah.
kind of a look. It's kind of a shtick, or it's kind of a moment. It's not really enough of an arc. Is that why?
That's what I was gonna say. Like, there's no character arc. We don't see you on any sort of journey. I mean,
Right.
besides like picking up a cheeseburger and putting it down. Like,
Yeah.
that's the arc right there.
Yeah. So avoid those commercials, guys. Don't throw too much. We talked about this. I can do anything, so here's 30 minutes of what I can do, or here's a million clips of, don't throw too much, as Lauren said, minimal, smart, your best stuff.
Yeah.
She just already took care of this one. Submit a long tape and say, skip ahead to this part. Don't do that. That's really bad.
Yeah.
If you're doing a self-tape, I know everybody wants to be Marlon Brando, but you do not eat or have major props if you're going to do a self-tape.
But this is not a scene where you're eating or have props that you're submitting. This is if you're just doing a self-tape.
If you're doing a self-tape for
Submission for
an agent. I rarely, even when I have people do eating scenes for auditions, I always have them pantomime eating and stuff. It's, again, people loved it. I was telling Lauren, the birth of this was that their minds were blown when Marlon Brando was on Broadway and took a big bite of a sandwich and did his lines through chewing, and people thought, this just isn't done. But he was playing a guy who would sit down and talk with his mouth closed.
Yeah.
And so every actor in the world thinks, ooh, that's, really interesting and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's very distracting.
It's so distracting. Yeah.
All you're looking at is that bag of chips, right?
And the sound. Ugh,
And now you're hungry.
Yeah. Now I'm hungry.
now I want to throw up.
We had a big
It's
one.
disgusting.
Yeah. And then this was a really interesting one that Lauren had said the other day about not doing an iconic scene. What did you mean by that?
Don't do, the Jerry Maguire, you complete me, or the show me the money. It's really distracting.
Right.
And it's just almost like you're doing an impression, It's,
Right.
It's just
Really hard to find it fresh.
Yeah.
So let me throw this at you. So many people have done Oscar and Felix, right? Mm-hmm. TV shows a long time ago.
Yeah.
Obviously, the movie's longer than that. So many people have done their versions of Oscar and Felix. Why is that okay? Is it because
I think it's more of an archetype,
Okay.
It's become
the slob versus the prissy neat guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's kind of timeless in a way,
Right.
I guess.
As opposed to, show me the money is like what Cuba
That's
Gooding
Cuba Gooding
Jr.
Jr.
Yeah, what he
That's
did
it.
with that was so unique, and it's drilled in our heads. You're not going to do a scene from Star Wars, right? I mean,
Yeah, just don't.
Oh, God. Sean,
don't.
I am your father.
yeah.
Just change the name. No one will notice.
Yes, I think it's there's agents lining up right now, Roxy,
I
just
nailed
because
that.
you nailed that.
Question, because I know we got to get out of here soon, but a lot of the websites for agents or managers will say no unsolicited material or only referral or whatever. Is it obnoxious to send to those agents your footage that you've now put together if they are requesting that you don't do that?
Part of me is going to get mad at myself for saying this, but I would just do it anyway. Just do it anyway.
Right.
But
what's the downside, right?
But make sure that it's good. Make sure because I have a photographic memory. I remember everybody's faces, and I remember when people constantly submit to me. And if you're not bringing anything new to the table when you keep submitting, if you don't say like, I actually booked this TV show, because that's happened to me in the past. I've seen someone, but I could see that they weren't ready. And then they submitted again 6 months later and they're like, oh, I booked Mom. And I said, oh, and then I ended up signing them.
There you go.
If you're going to keep on submitting, make sure you have something to report,
So always something
progress.
fresh, something showing the trajectory that you're getting better, you're getting more work, something to...
Got it.
And if you're doing big emails, BCC, please. Do not CC every agent in town.
Right.
You will get the most aggressive, angry emails.
Would you rather individualize for each person?
You
Dear Lauren.
You absolutely should, yeah.
Yeah,
And
take
another
that minute.
Yeah, and another thing I mentioned to him the other day, look at my client list. Compliment me. Find my Instagram and say like, "Oh, I see you like cats." Maybe that's creepy, but
Yeah.
see you like
it makes it interesting.
Well, listen, that's in our networking,
Yes.
how to win friends and influence people.
Yeah.
Find out about them and be gracious about your wills. Oh my God, you have 2 cats. I love my 2 cats. I actually foster kittens. I love them. Something that opens the door that has nothing to do with acting.
Sure.
So we're gonna get in. That's our little tidbit, guys, for our how to get an agent, because we're going to talk about all these things, my manager Gary has been chomping at the bit to get in here and say, I want to do. Can I please tell them what not to do? He's so like, I know. And I said, listen, we talk about what you should do as well. And he's like, all right.
Yeah, well, we love to say what not to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fun.
Yeah, exactly. And so we'll get
It's
into
important
that.
for people to know, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it absolutely is. And so this was a really great, comprehensive first step. Guys, you cannot get an agent of quality without some sort of footage. It's part of what we've talked about on the show several times about getting ready, the 2-year plan. We've talked about it over and over again. It's part of getting work in this town. So it's really important. Roxy, where can we find you?
Everywhere at Roxy Striar.
And Lauren, I don't think you want to give out.
If you can find me,
If you can
congratulations.
Agents kind of don't do that thing. I'm at that guy SMW. Ryan, you want to throw that out?
I'm at Ryan Nilsson.
Nice.
Silent but deadly, I
Silent
told
but
you.
deadly,
Silent
yeah.
but deadly.
And you can find me on Sean Whalen Peeps on Facebook. So as always, thank you for letting me be part of your journey.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz